Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, March 14th, 2025. Well, we are officially in our spring weather pattern. It's pretty clear now the threat for any type of even interior snowfall has faded away, but not the cool weather, as now we are dealing with a different clash of air masses. Beforehand, we were dealing with a lot of polar and Arctic air masses. That has given way to what we call maritime air masses. These air masses usually focus or develop from the Canadian Maritimes and right off of our coast, right over the Western Atlantic, where the water temperatures are a bit cooler than what you'll have on the land. And that's going to become stronger and stronger as we move through the warm season and we start to get base temperatures in our 60s and 70s and then in the summer into the 80s. Just remember this when it comes to maritime air masses, they're denser. So as a result, they're harder to remove. They tend to stick around longer than what model guidance suggests, and they typically produce a lot of low clouds and sometimes some pretty good precipitation, i.e. rain. So let's dive into this forecast. But before we do, please like, share, and subscribe. It actually helps the channel out quite a bit. And also, if you're interested in this type of content every day, along with being able to ask me questions, let's say you have a party that you're getting ready to plan or something of that nature, definitely check out the premium consulting membership, only $15 a month. Well, let's dive into the latest data. We start off first with the 500 millibar pattern, just to kind of give you an overview of what we're dealing with. As you know, the polar vortex is collapsing. We have a major stratospheric warming event evolving, and also our tropical forcing remains a bit all over the place. Right now, generally, the MJO is in phases 1, 2, neutral, and then 7. And typically what that means for us is an active subtropical jet stream. So a lot of short waves moving through the southern plains and heading towards the eastern Great Lakes or the mid-Atlantic. While the polar vortex is essentially collapsing, that leads to a slight increase in the potential for high latitude blocking, but it's displaced northward because the polar vortex is focused more towards Eurasia. So what you end up with is some negative NAO signals here. A very progressive pattern still over the mid-latitudes, which is where we are. This is the mid-latitudes. This is the higher latitudes. This is the mid-latitudes. So you see some of that high latitude blocking showing up here, but what this typically signifies is a higher potential for what we call backdoor cold fronts. Basically, you get strong high pressure systems in the Gulf of Maine, and that maritime air mass I was talking about getting forced south into the northern mid-Atlantic. Usually it starts to slow down its influence around the Philadelphia metro. So in these type of weather patterns, you can end up where, let's say, Philadelphia or southwestern New Jersey is 70 degrees. Meanwhile, Long Island and Connecticut are in the upper 40s. You'll have some days where you're region-wide in the 40s and 50s, and then the next day in the 60s and 70s. So this is a very volatile weather pattern in terms of temperatures. You go on a roller coaster, and we're going to see that in the 7-day forecast. But it also opens up the potential for some healthier rainfall events. Not so much severe thunderstorm events, which we'll talk about for Sunday afternoon and evening, but certainly a higher potential for heavier rainfall, which is something that we really, really need in order to break our drought and also to overcome the dry conditions that enhance the fire concerns that we've already seen in this early spring. So right now we have that maritime influence. Winds are coming in from the northeast. They're going to veer to the southeast as we move on through today into tonight. And that's going to keep plenty of low clouds. Notice how the circles here are filled in. That means that you have overcast conditions. And unfortunately, that created some limitations seeing last night's lunar eclipse, unless you're in the interior here where we had enough clear skies. And temperatures, you can see the influence without the cloud cover. Temperatures really plummeted in your higher elevations into the mid to upper 20s. In the lower elevations over the interior, temperatures generally range in the lower to mid 30s, upper 30s to lower 40s in your suburbs, lower 40s along the coast where we had plenty of cloud cover. On the latest surface map and radar from Weather tab, notice not much in the way of rainfall. Okay, plenty of low clouds, but for the most part, high pressure's in control. And you can see that high pressure system, there's stronger high pressure systems out here. So that sets up your easterly fetch that we see in place, transporting that cool maritime air from the Canadian Maritimes right into our neck of the woods, and also at the same time preventing precipitation. So most likely you got a dry pocket in the mid levels, and then around 850 millibars to 925 millibars, you got plenty of low level moisture, and so therefore your cloud cover. And you see that very nicely here on the infrared satellite picture. Let's refresh this for a second. And what I want to show you is that influence here, that onshore flow. It gets to about the Delaware River and then cuts up through the Hudson Highlands here. And in your elevations here, that influence from the maritime air mass is usually blunted a bit. So you get a little bit more sunshine here over the interior. Coastal plain, you're dealing with a lot of low clouds. Now, as the sun rises today, some of these low clouds will mix out and break up. So you'll deal with a lot of mix of sun and clouds along the coast. But again, you still got that maritime feel in the atmosphere, keeping temperatures in the 50s to lower 60s around the region. On the infrared satellite picture, also notice the overall pattern is moving west to east here. Okay, so we are keeping an eye on the potential for this storm to really, really ratchet up and intensify. And we're going to get the latest satellite picture here. And you can see this area right here. You see the jet streak here, the subtropical jet stream here. Notice how the cumulus is starting to get a little bit popcorny here and frayed out. This is a signal for support for severe weather later on during the day. And that's really going to increase over the Tennessee River Valley and down towards the Gulf Coast here. Now, there's some idea that as this disturbance lifts towards the Great Lakes, that there will be potential for severe weather pushing into the northern mid-Atlantic. I have some doubts on this, so I'll explain why as we move forward. Now, first of all, when we take a look at our 250 millibar winds, everything's moving west to east. The reason why I keep on saying that is that in order to drive your tropical air mass into the northern mid-Atlantic and overwhelm the maritime air mass, you really need this to really lock in and remain in place for some time. And I don't think that's going to happen. It will happen for a short period of time, but not long enough to overwhelm the maritime air mass that we have in place now. And that's going to be really important when you're forecasting for severe thunderstorms, because that low level maritime air mass is going to cause more of an elevated thunderstorm threat. And while there will be some wind threat, I don't think it's going to reach the level of severe weather. I do like the idea of that in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, but I have my doubts for the northern mid-Atlantic for Sunday evening. Still pretty good heavy rainfall event. So when we take a look at the model guides, you see the PVA here marching its way through. So clearly good lifting in that respect. And at the lower levels, this is at about 850 millibars. This represents our fernogenesis pretty well. This signal here tells me that the bulk of your lifting, and thus the bulk of your rainfall and thunderstorm potential, will be happening at roughly 11 o'clock at night. Now, even in the middle of summer, having thunderstorm complexes move through at the middle of the night is typically not the best scenario for severe weather. It can happen, especially with a strong low-level jet at 850 millibars. But most of the time, you have to have really fine details, and you really cannot have that maritime air mass interrupt that evolution. And what you really want is to have your best instability ahead of that in the afternoon to be focused over the northern Atlantic, and then it slowly declines. In this case, we have a maritime air mass in place limiting that instability. Your best focus is really down towards Virginia and North Carolina. Certainly pretty good jet streak here set up here. Okay, so notice something that's very important. The winds are very strong here in the afternoon. So this could feature some strong severe thunderstorms in central Pennsylvania. But as it pushes east, as we head towards the evening, notice it weakens significantly, and you start to get more of a focus here over New England. Why is that the case? Because in terms of the polar jet stream, that influence and that divergence in influence is focused towards New England. The convective influence is down here that's starting to wane. And so we are in between that. We get subsidence. We get limitation of instability in the atmosphere. And this moves off pretty quickly too. And when we take a look at the precipitable water values, here's another signal that is pretty interesting. You got convective signal here. Notice the bullseye. Convective signal down here. Not so much here. And then it pushes off the coast. We have a nice convective signal off the Delmarva Peninsula. Not much here over the northern mid-Atlantic. So this tells me, hey, look, we're definitely going to have heavy rainfall. There's definitely going to be some lifting. But the convective signals seem to be focused either well to the south or well to the north of us. And so what you end up with is this signal here. For most of the weekend, by the way, it's pretty quiet, cloudy, a few isolated showers, maybe a little drizzle, but nothing really too significant. So if you have any outdoor plans for today, tomorrow, or even Sunday morning, not bad at all. You can get all the way into Sunday afternoon and still dodge the showers all the way along the coast. You'll have some increase in showers over, let's say, eastern Pennsylvania, but even that will be widely scattered initially. Now, when we take a look at this evening, this is where, on Sunday evening, where we get these showers and thunderstorms move through. Well, let's take a look at the skew T on this. This is what we look at in the atmosphere to try to study the elevation. Now, understand, we are still too far out to use model guides like the NAM and the HRR at this point, and that's going to really fine-tune this forecast by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon. But it does tell me quite a bit when I look at this on the European guidance. You see this signal right here? See how it's kind of dented in right there? This is a signal that the lower levels of the atmosphere ahead of these showers and thunderstorms is stable. Then you get instability around 850 millibars up to 500 millibars. So these are elevated thunderstorm threats. So you get some mixing down with some of the stronger winds. But this typically supports more of a heavy rainfall signal than it does a severe thunderstorm signal. Then we move forward to 72 hours, which is roughly around 8 p.m. And you can see I had that line. That maritime signal really shows up very nicely here. Okay, now you're in the 60s and it's pretty nice out, but the thunderstorm line that's coming into this environment on the coastal plain is stable. And even over eastern Pennsylvania, it's still relatively stable. So this is a very strong, stable signal. And then as we head towards midnight, head towards the late hours and the shower and thunderstorm line comes through, we go to conditionally unstable. You still have a stable environment here over the lower levels of the atmosphere, and then unstable here in the upper portions of the atmosphere. So this is not a severe thunderstorm signal to me. This is a heavy rainfall signal, about a half an inch to an inch and a half of rain. But I don't buy into this severe thunderstorm threat for the region outside of maybe southeastern Pennsylvania, maybe like right around here, well south and west of Philadelphia. And just north of Delaware, right around this region right here, in terms of the forecast area. Everyone else, heavy rainfall, some embedded thunderstorms. So again, the whole forecast here is very volatile, very volatile temperature regime with some periods of rain with these cold fronts. So let's march through this forecast for today. Variable cloud cover, high temperatures in the lower to mid 50s on Long Island, upper 50s to lower 60s everywhere else. Tonight into tomorrow, plenty of cloud cover remains. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. For tomorrow, cloud cover, a few isolated showers, but nothing really too significant. So if you have any outdoor plans, it'll be a little cool, but overall dry. Look for high temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 50s along the coast, and upper 50s to lower 60s in the Delaware River Valley. On Sunday, Clouds increase on Sunday morning, but remaining dry. Look for low temperatures in the lower to mid 50s. In the afternoon, clouds continue to increase. The shower threat continues to increase. Look for high temperatures ranging from the upper 50s to lower 60s on Long Island, lower to mid 60s everywhere else. By Sunday evening, the cold front approaches with showers and thunderstorms, and some of these thunderstorms will be strong, capable of heavy downpours and wind gusts over 35 miles per hour, possibly reaching as high as 45 miles per hour. The bulk of this rainfall will be moving through from roughly 8 p.m. to about 4 a.m., and then lingering showers thereafter into Monday morning. Not expecting severe thunderstorms, but I do expect rainfall amounts anywhere between a half an inch and an inch and a half, which is something that we need anyway. By Monday morning, the showers begin to exit, skies begin to clear. Look for low temperatures ranging from the upper 30s to mid 40s over the northern interior, upper 40s to lower 50s along the coast. By the afternoon, skies clear with a nice northwesterly wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Look for high temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, upper 40s to lower 50s in the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 50s along the coast. On Tuesday, high pressure in control. Tranquil conditions are expected, but a bit chillier, especially in the morning, with low temperatures in the mid to upper 20s over the northern interior, lower to mid 30s along the coast. High temperatures will rebound into the lower to mid 50s on Long Island, mid to upper 50s along the coast, and upper 50s to lower 60s everywhere else. On Wednesday, high pressure remains in control with tranquil weather conditions expected. Look for low temperatures in the upper 30s to lower 40s. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 50s on Long Island, lower to mid 60s along the rest of the coast, lower to mid 60s over the interior, and upper 60s to lower 70s in the Delaware River Valley. On Thursday, a cold front will approach with increasing cloud cover and breezy conditions through the morning and afternoon. Look for low temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s. High temperatures will range from the upper 50s to lower 60s on Long Island, mid to upper 60s along the coast and over the interior, upper 60s to lower 70s in the Delaware River Valley. The cold front will move through on Thursday evening into Friday morning with some heavier downpours and a few embedded thunderstorms. By the time we get to the daybreak on Friday morning, getting ready for rush hour, skies will clear. Temperatures will fall off into the lower to mid 30s over the northern interior, upper 30s to lower 40s along the coast. And by Friday afternoon, sky cloud cover, a few isolated showers are possible with high temperatures ranging from, and this is going to be pretty chilly, the upper 30s to lower 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s along the coast. But good news, the following weekend, we rebound rapidly as we continue on with this roller coaster of temperatures, which is typical for March. So that is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen D. Martino. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And as always, stay safe out there.